Hey, I'm Gisele, and today I want to show you how presence can help ease anxiety so it can stop running your life. Presence hasn't made anxiety disappear for me, but it has changed how much power it has over me. If you're like me, maybe you've coped with an anxious mind for most of your life. Maybe it's shown up in ways you didn't want it to, or you felt a loss of control. Maybe you overthink and overanalyze everything that you said or did. There can be so many layers to anxiety. And something happens to your body, right? Your heart's beating faster, your palms are getting sweaty, and your mind is going blank when you're uncomfortable or in a moment that you really need it not to go blank. I've dealt with anxiety since I was around the age 10. It got more intense in my 20s until I began understanding the stories and the beliefs that were living underneath all that anxiety. For those of us who understand what intense anxiety can feel like, you've experienced how it's overwhelmed you, chipped away at your self worth and confidence, and convinced you of stories that just aren't true. Something I learned from Eckhart Tolle is that true peace comes from recognizing that you are not your thoughts. It's so easy to get lost in your thoughts and forget that you are separate from them. And in order to keep remembering that you are separate from your thoughts, you are not your thoughts, you need to be consciously practicing. Because if you aren't consciously practicing separation from those thoughts, you're living your life on autopilot and you're carrying beliefs that do not serve you. The very beliefs that are connected to your health and your happiness. Practicing presence helps heal your mind. If you've never practiced being present with your thoughts, then you haven't tapped into your subconscious mind, which means you likely don't realize that the problems or the anxiety that you experience today are connected to the thoughts that you haven't been noticing. Being present with your thoughts and practicing presence allows you to do a few things. It allows you to observe those thoughts and anxious feelings without judgment. It allows you to recognize your patterns and triggers more clearly. It teaches you to respond consciously more often than reacting impulsively. Our subconscious thoughts reveal the patterns and stories we keep telling ourselves. One pattern I began to notice was around expressing myself in relationships. The story underneath my anxiety was something like this: if I speak my truth, then I'll be too much. If I'm too much, then I'll disappoint the people that I love. And if I disappoint the people that I love, then they'll leave me and I'll lose love. Before I practiced being present with my thoughts, this wasn't a story I was aware of at all. And I couldn't possibly be because I wasn't noticing that internal dialogue I had. All I felt was that rush of anxiety, that overwhelm, especially in those moments where it was time to express how I felt. The fear was so strong that I would disconnect from myself instead. And that's something that many of us are taught to do, to numb, to distract, to focus on what's outside of us instead of noticing what's happening on the inside. But when I began observing my thoughts and practicing presence, I started to recognize that these thoughts were connected to a story that wasn't a new one. It was my mind telling me the same old story once again. And noticing that, being able to recognize that without judging it, is what brought my power back. Practicing presence also calms your brain and body. It strengthens your prefrontal cortex. It reduces the activity in your brain's fear center, and it strengthens your ability to emotionally regulate and stay calm under pressure. So, in order to start tapping into that subconscious part of you and noticing these thoughts, these patterns, these stories that you just keep telling that allow the anxiety to overcome you, in order to really start changing your relationship to all of that and to start separating yourself from that, you're going to have to put this into practice, and you're going to want to do it daily. I've talked about meditation before, and specifically the kind that really helps you work on observing your thoughts, your feelings. And you're going to want to check out this video right here so that you can learn more about how to go along that process. So, in addition to meditating, you're going to want to start engaging your five senses as well. And one way you can do this is you can go for a walk. So if you go for a walk, you're going to engage your five senses and you're going to name three things with each of those senses: what you can touch, what you can taste, what you can hear, what you can smell, what you can see. Name three things of each one of those senses. Engaging your senses is a practice that really starts bringing you into the present moment that you're in. And this is what practicing presence is all about: bringing yourself fully into the moments that you are in. And so it's taking you out of autopilot and it's bringing you back here to where you are. Anxiety is something you experience, but it's not who you are. And I know how easy it can be to get lost in that belief. But please remember, you only get lost in something that you are not aware of. And when you practice presence and bring it into your life daily, you will start to feel and understand this more clearly. You start to separate yourself from those thoughts. You start to recognize that experiencing the anxiety and noticing that it's there is what's really going to start to bring you more ease and give you more control over it. The anxiety may not completely disappear, but it will no longer be able to control you. And this is where an inner sense of safety starts to begin. It's where your confidence starts to grow. And it's where you connect to the truth of who you really are.